Picture this. It's January 1st and you've decided that this is going to be the year where your New Year's resolutions and dreams finally come true. You think to yourself, this is going to be the year where my life changes for the better. And you're committed. You're going to stick to your plan and all the things you promised yourself in your resolutions. You're going to start exercising more, eating healthy, get a new job that pays better, invest in your personal growth, or finally pursue your passions. But then, by the end of the month, you're right back to vegging on the couch, binge watching Netflix, and you're back to all your old habits too. By February, your lofty New Year's resolutions recede to the background of your awareness just like a fading dream. A show of hands if you have ever done this, because I certainly have. Failing at New Year's resolutions is so common that only 9% of Americans that make a New Year's resolution actually complete them, and 80% of people abandon their resolutions within the first month. And why is this? Why do our lofty new goals crash and burn even when we desperately want them? It's because most of us are resisting change, even if we don't think we are. In this video, you'll learn the deeper spiritual reason why you resist change, how to spot resistance in yourself when you're unaware of it, and how to quickly and effortlessly move through that resistance to become someone who not only welcomes change, but actually thrives in it. Because here's the honest truth. All of your deepest dreams and your soul's desires in this life are on the other side of your unconscious human resistance to change. And until you overcome this unconscious resistance, your life will remain the same even as your soul screams for more. Here's a true story to illustrate just how deep the resistance to change can be. Every year, my team and I facilitate an in-person retreat where my most in-depth and transformational work happens. For a week, a group of clients work with me on their deepest challenges, their unhealed wounds, and all their blind spots. And in those days, we witness them arriving as one person and leaving as someone altogether new. My retreats sell out quickly, and everybody is so excited at first when they buy their tickets, usually around 6 months before the retreat date. But then, inevitably, as the retreat gets closer, about a couple of months before it starts, my team starts to receive a few emails from clients wanting to cancel their tickets. And they try really hard to come up with an excuse for not coming. Some of them are hilarious. And here's where it gets interesting. My retreats are non-refundable, meaning that some people are willing to lose their retreat fee, and this has actually happened, rather than come do the work. And why? It's because as the retreat gets closer, some people start to feel an enormous resistance inside their bodies. I've had clients tell me that the resistance feels almost paralyzing at times, and they sometimes assume it's their body telling them not to come. But it's not. It's the ego perceiving its imminent doom. Whenever you're closest to the biggest breakthroughs of your life, your protective ego, the part of your identity that's rigid and controlling and scared, it tries to sabotage changes coming into your life. Even if this sabotage hurts you in the long run. The ego is a rudimentary part of you that long ago tried to keep you safe, especially if you had a rough childhood. But as you grow up, the ego often gets so rigid and controlling that it tries to block anything that feels unknown to it, including change. But the ego can be a little sneaky too, and a deeper reason why it sabotages your growth is because ultimately, if you truly grow and develop yourself, your ego loses control of your life. This is by far the #1 reason why people resist change, is because that controlling ego doesn't want to lose power over you. But there are a few more reasons that contribute to your resistance to change. Let me show you here on the table. So the first one we already saw was a controlling ego that fights to stay in the driver's seat. But now we have biology. We're biologically programmed to stay away from potential danger versus seeking new opportunities. Science calls this the negativity bias, and it means that my brain will pay more attention to potential danger than it will to something new, even if that newness looks good. Here's a potential scenario of how that works in practice. Pretend you're walking in the wilderness and you've been lost for days, starving and thirsty. And let's say you spot a juicy fruit hanging from a tree to your right, but at the same time, you see the bushes moving to your left. what do you think your body's gonna do? You're so hungry and you see that juicy fruit, but to your brain, even when it's starving, it'll give priority to the moving bushes because that could be a lion or some other danger that could kill you. So to the brain, keeping you away from danger is a higher priority than eating in that moment. This is the negativity bias at play. So when we set out to fulfill our dreams or make big changes in our lives, we have to contend with a very real but malleable part of the brain that could resist transformation because it perceives those changes as threatening to you. The third reason we resist change is because of energy. Making any change in your life requires chi or energy, but often we're running on low, especially if we're going through the ups and downs of a spiritual awakening, healing from past trauma, and navigating the stresses of modern life. Your body can perceive the extra energy requirement as something overwhelming or unfeasible, and when it does this, it can actually trigger your nervous system into a shutdown, or what's known as the freeze or functional freeze response, as a way to protect the little energy you have. The fourth reason is trauma. If you have had a rough childhood or trauma as an adult or as a child, any change can be triggering to your nervous system, even if that change is good for you. And it's because the nervous system of people with trauma has often been trained to get dysregulated when perceiving an unknown destination, meaning that change equals something new, which equals the unknown, which can equal a threat. So your nervous system can kick into fight, flight, or freeze responses more easily when you have a history of trauma, especially as a child. So these first four reasons are going to be more on the level of the body and mind. So these are very somatic, body-centric changes. So when we're talking about these four changes, why we resist, these four reasons why we resist changes, they're going to be at the level of body and mind mostly. But now we have the two last changes. These ones are going to be spiritual in nature. These two aren't talked about as much, but we're going into them now. The fifth reason we resist change is sensitivity. Most spiritual people are highly sensitive people, or what's known as empaths. An empath is someone with an extremely open and sensitive energy system. And by sensitive, I don't mean weak or fragile. I mean a highly tuned system that can perceive and read energy with astonishing accuracy. The energy system of an empath looks like a screen door, and it lets you perceive the outside world with accuracy. When you stand by a screen door, you feel more connected to the outside because you can hear the birds, feel the air, smell it. Non-empaths have an energy system that looks like a glass door. They can see the outside world, but the air and the sound are missing, so the accuracy of their read is not as high as an empath. Because empaths are so sensitive, and they have been since birth, they'll often feel uncomfortable growing up and may develop coping mechanisms like withdrawing or closing down in an attempt to shut down the sensitivities. But when they do that, they can often become afraid or resistant to change because their system perceives the unknowns of change as threatening and can overwhelm their energy system and body. So they may shy away from any type of situation that makes them uncomfortable, and change often makes us feel uncomfortable. The last reason we resist change is past lives. This one is one of the most overlooked reasons why we resist change, but it can often be the underlying factor that's at the root of all other reasons. Lightworkers, that's you and me, have been on this earth for many lifetimes in which we came to assist the planet in one way or another. Because lightworkers are souls that are of service to the planet and to humanity, but in past lives, many of us suffered horribly while trying to be of service. A good example of this were the healers of the past, the medicine women who used energy work and natural remedies to heal others in need. Many of these women were misunderstood, and many died horrible deaths, either burned at the stake or stoned. So when a lightworker is born into this life, their bodies may remember the suffering of their past lives, and those deep past life imprints can be deeply embedded in their energy system, mind, and body. So whenever these lightworkers attempt to make big changes in their lives, those ancient, unhealed traumas from past lives can trigger their bodies into dysregulation and paralysis. Because to a body with these past life imprints, change can feel life-threatening. And here's the biggest takeaway from all these 6 reasons I talked about. You'll often feel the biggest resistance right before a major breakthrough. That's why some of my clients want to cancel their retreats right before they get close to the retreat date. They feel that resistance is almost overwhelming overwhelming right when they're about to take a huge step in their transformation. But here's the amazing thing. The clients who stay aware of that resistance and walk right through it are often the ones that have the biggest breakthroughs on retreat. I've retreated with hundreds of people over the last few years, and this is a pattern that I see so clearly. So what do we do when the resistance to change feels so overwhelming, but it's also unconscious? Did you notice that I mentioned a minute ago about my clients who stayed aware of the resistance? What I've found over the years is that the resistance to change can be completely unconscious and operate in the background of awareness. But once we become aware of the resistance and the reasons why we may be resisting, everything shifts. That's why for years, my team and I have had a pre-retreat coaching call with the retreaters about a month before the retreat. Once we started doing these and coaching people on how to spot their resistance, the cancellation emails plummeted. Speaking of live coaching calls with myself and my team, they also happen twice a month inside my private community, Heart Alchemy. If you feel ready to do the deeper healing and spiritual work that will melt away your resistance to change, consider joining us in Heart Alchemy. Inside, you'll get clear guidance and structured support to help you become aware of all the unconscious places inside of you that resist change and develop your ability to welcome and thrive with change. 93% of our members see a significant increase in their personal growth and healing after they join our community. To learn more about Heart Alchemy, go over to my Instagram with the handle The Heart Alchemist and DM me the word Heart26. We'll talk about how Heart Alchemy can completely change your life. Okay, so it's great if you have a coach or therapist to help you open your eyes to the places where you might be resisting change, but what can you do on your own to spot this resistance? I like to use this 3-prompt journal exercise. You're going to ask yourself a series of 3 questions that will uncover your inner resistance, even if it's deeply hidden. In prompt 1, what do I want to feel and who do I want to become in this life? This question helps you tune into the emotions and sensations that you may want to experience in your life. It also incentivizes you to tap into the highest potential or the highest version of yourself that your soul intended for you in this life. See it, feel it, and write about it. In prompt 2, what needs to change in order for me to experience those feelings or manifest who I want to become? This forces you to pinpoint the obstacles that are right in front of you and that prevent you from living the highest version of yourself right now. In prompt 3, why haven't I made these changes already? This can be an intimidating question, but it's gold. This is going to show you the hidden places where you resist change and why you do it. The pro tip here is to be brutally honest with yourself. Don't say things like, "Oh, I haven't made these changes because I don't have time." If you have time to scroll through social media or binge watch Netflix, you have time to make the necessary changes in your life. So try to be honest with yourself and go deeper. It's not about you having no time or money to do what needs to be done to transform your life. It's much deeper. For example, when I get to a retreat and my team has told me who resisted coming, I'll often have a conversation with that person in private and ask them why they considered canceling their retreat. Very often, the person will tell me that it was because intuitively they knew I would see right through the bullshit that they had been telling themselves for a while, and once confronted with that bullshit, they would have nowhere to hide. They would have to make the necessary changes because the bullshit would be out in the open for themselves and everyone else in the group to see. A couple of years ago, I had a client who almost canceled her retreat last minute, and when I first saw her, I understood why. For the first couple of days during our retreat coaching sessions, she worked really hard to tell a bullshit story about how she was married to a wonderful man who just needed help to get to a place where he could someday become her ideal partner. She had been married to this person for over 20 years, and she had been telling herself this bullshit story for almost 15. But day after day, as she tried to repeat that story and her ego desperately tried to sabotage the truth that her heart had been telling her for a long time, the story started to crumble until nothing was left. She could see clearly now. When she returned home, she had a painful but necessary conversation with her husband, who was a good man, packed her bags, threw them in her truck, and drove off to her new life. Now, why didn't she make the necessary changes before then? Because for 15 years, she was repeating this story about her marriage that wasn't true. And why was she doing that? Because she was terrified of a life without a husband that had made her feel safe, even if not fulfilled. And for you, this 3-prompt journaling exercise can reveal your bullshit stories that your ego repeats every day in an effort to keep your life the same. But once you put these things on paper, you become aware of your resistance to change, and then you can move through that resistance quickly and effortlessly. Once you become aware of the places inside of you that resist change and why, moving through that resistance becomes easier. Remember the 6 reasons why we resist change? Let's go back to that drawing. Do you know it can work to heal all 6 of these? It's an exercise I call calming reassurance. Okay, so calming reassurance is when we pair something relaxing to the body with positive affirmations. This works well because we break the association between change and danger. When you resist change, your body has a program that associates change with a potential danger. And when your body feels in danger, it's not relaxed. With this exercise, you're doing something relaxing that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation nervous system, while you're repeating affirmations that are positive. So you're pairing relaxation of the body with positive affirmations, and that cuts the energy of the body associating change with danger. I like to sit in meditation with some calm music, then I gently start self-massaging my arms and legs. You can also run your fingers up and down your body if you want to. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Breathe deeply as you self-massage for a couple of minutes or until you start to feel relaxed. Then repeat these affirmations out loud. It is safe for my life to change. It is safe for me to grow. It is my nature to constantly change. I thrive when my life moves forward. Your body may feel weird at first because the unconscious programming can get so confused at the fact that you're relaxed while saying things that have caused restlessness before in your body. This exercise will help you start associating relaxing states of body with change, so your body and mind become programmed with a new way of seeing transformation. And speaking of your body, watch this video next to discover why your body sometimes blocks your soul mission and what to do to fully align your body with your soul again.